There's this irrational perception that therapy is not cool or maybe not helpful. And I would challenge that. Think about it this way. You go to a mechanic when your car is acting up. You go to a chiropractor when your back feels funny. But the most complex enigma, our mind, we'll deal with that on our own. That doesn't make any sense, does it? While therapy may not be for you, or you may not feel like it's for you, I think that the idea of therapy should be pursued by everyone. And that can be done just by having a conversation with someone who cares about you, who's willing to listen, who's willing to challenge you. So one thing I've been learning through my therapist is this idea of acceptance and commitment. And so the therapy type that she does is this cognitive therapy called acceptance commitment therapy. There's this churning that we sit in, we sulk in a lot of times where we feel down, but then we kind of feed that animal and it continues to kind of fester. So with that, the idea is you have this churning, but you want to unstick yourself. So the unsticking is being able to basically acknowledge those negative feelings and then be able to move on to the commitment. Right, so you have the training over here, but then over here you have the commitment. Once you detach yourself from this idea of your negative emotions, then you can go to your commitments. Okay, so let me pause here. It's easier said than done. So let me give a realistic example and like walk you through the process of like how it works for me. Churning. Sometimes I think, hey, it'd be really awesome if I did this thing. And to be more specific, it would be really awesome if I did this video right now. And so in my head, I'm like, dope idea, let's do it. But then what happens is I start churning. Something negative happens, or a non-constructive thought or destructive thought kind of pops into my head and it says, you're not gonna really do a good job. It's gonna be a waste of time. And so then I listen to that and then I start feeding it and say, well, yeah, I'm really not that good at doing this anyway. And I continuously feed that. And then it kind of goes to this very destructive mode where I start attacking essentially my own character. I say, well, you're kind of worthless. You're not really that good and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying this out of pity or anything like that, but I'm saying this because I think this is something that we all relate to. So I stick and then I have to detach myself from the emotion and say, well, that's just part of being human, right? We kind of have this like inferiority complex, or we have these negative doubts, but it's not the doubts that define us. It's what we do despite those doubts that really defines us. So in my head, I have this negative thought and it's festering and I accept it. I say that it sucks and I know that it exists, but me ignoring it isn't gonna make it go away. So the first thing I have to do is acknowledge it. It exists. So the second part is commitment. So this means going into what my therapist calls the meaning making in life. And what I love is this idea that she challenges the uses of words. So it's not just saying good things, right? Because good is just such a blanket statement. So this idea of meaning making means like, what are your values? What's important to you? And then you find a way to kind of latch on or to stick to the good stuff. Not good, maybe valuable. We'll say valuable. So you find a way to stick to the valuable stuff. So for me in this scenario, let's make a video. Thought 1, that's dope. Thought 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way to 10, this will be trash. You shouldn't do this. Thought 11, detach myself and say, well, I know that I'm gonna feel this way, it happens, but that's okay. Let me just go back to why I'm doing this. And I'm doing this because I wanna add value to people's lives. Okay, that's a cool value. So let's focus on that and use that as the motivation, inspiration, and really the driving force to do something. So that's what I did. It's really tough, especially when you're in the midst of that scenario. It's really hard to say like, oh, let me step back and look at myself in the situation. You should say, where am I devoting my energy? Am I devoting my energy in this kind of churning, negative self-doubt realm, or am I using my energy to add value and focus on the meaning that I create in my life? I think that's a super simple framework that we can all use on our daily lives. And so hopefully this helps you. And after this, I challenge you, take 2 minutes. No, 1 minute. No, even easier. Take 15 seconds to say how do I feel right now? Am I churning, or am I focusing on the meaning, and do I feel like I'm in the midst of it? And if you're not in the place you want to be, you know how to get there. So hopefully this helps you. Have a great day.